8:45 it is. Well, then thank you for joining. So, you guys can all hear me, right? I'm talking loud enough? Cool. So, as we're probably all aware, how many of us still have grandparents lying around you can talk to? A few of us, right? Do you ever have a chance to really ask them what identity was to them? It's kind of an evolution that we're in now, right? Because never before in civil society where remote change is possible, you can actually affect a change in some place never having been there. It's kind of concerning. It's legally a problem. I'm not a fan of using AI, but this is an AI image that saved my designer and I time to ideate. But it adequately does the analog versus digital realm we live in. So I think some of us are actually that year that they actually recognize and remember pre-internet. To that end, pre-internet and pre-DCMA and pre-9/11, it was a little bit more Wild West. And so out of this and other conversations I've had, when I'm running a race or whatever, and I'm probably one of the first top 5, and you follow me, that's on you. The game from the 90s called Lemmings, you're following the wrong leader and you might just fall off the cliff. So the local court is your local place of where ideation occurs. And don't shoot the messenger every time. So I was at an event earlier this year called Defend the Airport, and I know at least a few of us drove in, but who flew? Any raise of hands? Only one flew in, like myself. You all drove? It's the Midwest. Yeah, it's the Midwest. It's the Midwest. There you go. Yeah, why would I? Private plane, please. Well, at this event called Defend the Airport was the myriad of issues that are present in the airport, from your baggage claim to your TSA line to your Wi-Fi availability to the gates to it's just all messy and murky. And please don't fool with your airport. Let the plane fly. That's this job. Don't look at the Bluetooth or the Wi-Fi when you're on the plane. It's that evolution of the internet. So when you're in the airport, are you aware what your identity is in the airport? Because my driver's license causes TSA to choke sometimes, not for my own identity, but for the process of the card. So go figure. Out of all 50 states, some identities in some states have cards that have difficulty being read by the TSA agent's computer. Go figure. You're better off using your airport. You're better off using your passport, but it's not international, it's a domestic flight. Why would I want to use my passport? And to that end, not to go harp on the powers that be, but does anyone have an idea of how often TSA fails to find a fake mock item in the line? Any number? Huh? Close. Any other guess? Farther away? One more? Further away, 95% of the time. And I get it, it's a human taking care of a human. I mean, we're doing what we can. To that end, if you ever go through the airport and you recognize that Clear is available, that's a third-party carrier that has your identity, kind of like 23andMe. That's not for this conversation. That's not for this conversation. So it's important to then understand like other conversations and who you are when you go through airports or the rail or wherever, right? Oh. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So I totally attended my first Hope this year, which is Hackers on Planet Earth in St. John University, New York. I'm old enough, I remember Hope year 2000, Y2K, HD, yeah. It's my first one, and at the end day, I was walking out and asked the gentleman I was walking with, can I just walk the parking lot and go a mile to this train station and take the metro back to the city? And he was like, no, why don't you come with me? And he was pretty adamant, why don't you just come with me? Don't do that walk. No one walks there, but do that walk. And so part of that really is my own personal ideation on identity and what I would do for me, of me, when I didn't know it, but I was talking to a retired correctional officer who introduced me to this phrase, desistance theory. Does anyone know what desistance theory is? I barely do. Huh? That's not a typo. That's not a typo. Desistance theory is effectively, this is not a sociology or psychology class, but desistance theory is educating people to make better decisions in their life. Not that walking a mile to the train station is all that wrong, but there probably is better decisions just to go with him to the bus. You're there quicker. Go figure. So I was exhibiting, as he probably correctly noted, exemplary hacker behavior. You want to do what the main's doing, do what you want to do. And so part of that really is from the era where a lot of this comes into play, desistance theory, because back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, of all the weird issues we've had in society, we've actually been aware of the weird issues in society, and it's become what was dubbed stranger danger. Don't talk to them because they could hurt you. And I know my own local, local region, like where city I grew up in, there's Unsolved Mystery from Amy Mahalovic, who's 6 years younger than me, that's still unsolved. She trusted a dude who did, and it's a different story, find it on the internet. And so out of that, in the 90s, became youth carrying weapons of war to school. And so I think we can all call desistance theory when you get to be 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, a hardened criminal. Because you either grew out of it or you just kind of get stuck in it. And so like Reagan's trickle-down economics, we now have trickle-down fear, where we have the Department of Agriculture trying to get you to go outside. Like, come on, really? And so when you think of that and the kids and such, we need a baseline of what really composes identity. I think Dwayne's conversation on identity and federated identity kind of has a play in here as a baseline of what is identity, because you know you, but to a computer, that's nothing more than a series of bits, for what it's worth. Like, darn the machine. It's a dynamic concept, but you have to be aware of its personality and characteristics. Like in 2006, we gave identity to corporate businesses. Let's not go down that. And so out of identity, then you have data that other talks here have given, where a baseline of data really is a representation of information in a digital sense, right? And then if you have that, data abuse really is gone to smithereens. It's pretty bad out there if you ask a lot of people. We've gone from viruses and worms to polymorphic viruses to now polymorphic malware. I'm kind of looking forward to the day that we have polymorphic offensive qubits. Because what are you going to do then? What is your bank going to do then? Like, it's actually a problem. Abuse just doesn't end. And when I saw this quote years ago, that still kind of rings true. Does anyone actually see how I see this? That this is a 10% success? Like 9 out of 10 fail. But out of a talk that a colleague of mine, Jeff Mann, did in Grand Rapids at CornCon, this refers to compliance and vendor compliance as oil and water. When he gave a presentation effectively on PCI DSS compliance, that all the credit card people drew up to be secure, which that statistic is murky and good luck finding it. They don't want to publish that. And out of those data points, let's agree, we all have some version of social media, don't we? It's LinkedIn, or it's Instagram, or it's TikTok. I don't think anyone here has OnlyFans. Don't raise your hand if you do, but but we can all agree that like the identity associated with that account should be treated as the last frontier. It's your one thing you have. So earlier this year, I was effectively pitching to NATO. And this is my title slide out of that. And it's the data identity transgressions from other rogue nation states that behave the way they want to behave. So I was, yes. Yeah. Other words is Ivan. Who is the bear? Or the panda bear? Yeah. And so out of this, before I flew there, I was in a Manhattan hotel diner talking to the server, who actually ended up thanking me for what I do because she is from the Donbass region. And she's like, I'm conflicted on what should occur, but at least we have people like you doing whatever you do. I'm like, thank you. And she comped the meal, which is, I didn't ask for that, I didn't know, but like, thank you. Because what you do see there is the modern conflict. We're getting away from hard powers of battleships and tanks and stuff to the soft, non-kinetic, sharp power, where we're going to scroll a few slides back to identity in your data. How can we tamper with that? And this is a famous-ish picture. I would imagine almost no one here hopefully knows what this is. But this was in downtown Tallinn. That caused a gigantic uproar in 2007 when they relocated this outside the city to a military cemetery, correct? Yeah? And out of that event in 2007, this is not a history class, we have at least Estonia recognizing that it is the last frontier of your personal self. And so out of that gift, which is difficult to have what occurred as a gift, but it's a gift in some regards, Estonia and the Baltic states have really set up a cyber-secure civil society. They all partner amongst themselves. Companies talk amongst themselves. They all pretty entwined public and private organizations to work together. They're pretty adamant about that. And to that end, I think we could learn a few things from our Baltic states, because we have 50 states, not only 3 independent ones. And maybe federating identity is a thing, but it should be a lower process of actually your driver's license. But then again, it's digital. Do you need a passport when you go international flight anymore? I'll pay the money, but do I need that piece of paper? Devalue it by not having that piece of paper. And out of what occurred in policy in the Baltics, I really throw back to probably what you were told in the 80s or 90s. you were told when your city had recycling of reduce, reuse, and recycle. When really you should reclaim, redefine, and resist tampering to your own identity. A few conversations here should, the person would want to have their own identity in charge of their self. But it's going to be difficult to do. It's not a tech issue, it's a other problem issue. It's an autoplay for some reason. But, has anyone seen the movie? It's a famous story about a made-up story. I forget the author offhand who made the trial. And it's the endless thing of bureaucracy. Like, talk to so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. And it doesn't go anywhere. I bought the comic book edition. It's hilarious. It's not so funny when you read the raw text. Because out of the trial really is, I guess we can all raise our hand here. If we grew up kind of aware of Uncle Sam's transgressions of you or self and your identity, right? Right? Okay. But then again, you have social media, and that social media is a dragnet that's probably much, much larger. And it wasn't built by Uncle Sam. So, what do you do there? Do you obfuscate identity, or what can you do? Because in June of this year, the New York Times really said, hey, once it's out there, good luck getting it back. Good luck to you. The panda bear became involved transgressing your identity in your text messages, which is antithesis to a federal organization who kindly asked you to encrypt your text messages. That should cause you to be dizzy. I'm like, what's the power? What is going on there? It's slightly concerning. And so out of this is a screenshot from one of my web sites I run. That is the identity. So I delete maybe 200,000, 300,000 attempts per week under that identity, and that will never log in. That doesn't exist. But that's what they see. I have not yet received a password reset for the identity beginning in C4CA. Good luck to you. That doesn't exist. It's being aware and how your identity is going to be used. So murky it up if you want to, or try to keep it authentic if you can. And I would like to think more of us know this picture, this actor. We all do? We all know who this is? Yes, 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 yes. No? So Daria ran, I think, 5 years, and the first 3 years were entirely drawn analog comics. The last 2 years, 4 and 5, were all digital. Darn. Darn, because that was the most authentic representation of being a high school terrorist or terrorism. I mean, we all went to high school, right? So, shoot, what do we do here? And that was the trickle-down fear on those years of hey, what do we do? And like this, being aware of it, what we do see is the volume of kids that want to go play outside has decreased, and the amount of parents that allow their kids to go play outside is decreased, because it's their identity that's an issue. What's your kid going to be stolen? Are they going to be kidnapped? Are they going to get lost? Are they going to lose their $10 or their driver's license? You think too much, don't you? It's like Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Stop thinking. So people that make up other solutions, huh? No, don't panic. Don't panic. And so, oh yeah, we have a bunch of policies, and it's like that identity has evolved, and so it's, yeah. So like a lot of talks here, I think we can all agree that we have robots now. I think Dwayne's last presentation was the exponential use of n+1 robots in charge. And so oddly enough, John Kindervag 15 years ago made up the zero trust network ZTNA, the zero trust model. And that looks like that. And that's 15 years ago. We've all seen this on repeat, right? Like, it should be drawn, like you may not know what they say offhand, but you know there's 5 pillars and there's 3 bedrock things, and good luck to you, because implementing ideologies is really, really difficult. When at the end of the day, you probably need to realign his zero trust ideology to put identity as the bedrock, because you have machines that have to rely on that. We can all agree to that, because you have a remote controller in some submarine that needs to have its firmware updated, or you need a satellite at mid-orbit that needs to do something like, ah, shoot, what do you do there? Well, what identity does that machine have? I was totally, on a related note, I was totally in San Francisco at RSA in 2023 and bought the stranger behind me pizza, right? Natural, I would think. Sat down and had pizza, and I asked him a question, kind of like, if vendors have all the answers, why do we have an issue tomorrow? Kind of like Jeff Mann's talk on security is compliance, and compliance is security. I'm like, you're making me think here. Leaving the company anonymous, he said out loud, how would I eat? That's a good answer, I suppose. You're going to make a solution that's 80 to 85% complete, but has a little bit of a hole? Like, because you're not taking care of the digital identity of that machine. You're taking care of the human actor on the keyboard. And not laying blame. Other people are aware of that too. And sorry, this is one picture. I can't find another one. I didn't draw the picture. It's not a, no, it's not a bear. Yes. I need one over here. And so in the realm of like disruption, like I totally went to DEF CON in 2001 and 2023. And I know there's 22 years between those two. I get it. Like, I only went to Hope this year. I remember Hope year 2000. Like, sorry, not sorry. I didn't make it in time. I don't know. Being innocent, I don't know. But there at DEF CON, to an end, I had 2 random incidents that do concern myself and my other friend from other Russians that wanted to say hi. And they may be working at NIST, they may not be working at NIST, but I can't find you in the future. So not only did you hoodwink me, but you hoodwinked 80 other people. And it's that shifting landscape of what the heck is going on. How many coffee shops have you walked into recently that are fully analog? None. You have to use a point of sale system that's connected to your database, or like your credit card. I'm like, gosh, it's a problem. I think I know this coffee shop, oddly enough. I think this is either in Seattle or San Francisco. It's a thing. And so part of this frustration is the vast attack, the expansive exploitation of everything that apparently, as humans do, they just rather stay inside and watch Netflix. That's the best answer. Maybe, I don't know. Like, you see these graphs on the Department of Agriculture that's going to get people to go outside. Last time I checked, having a government office to tell you to go outside is marginally effective than having you just have the availability to do it yourself. And in the digital era, how would you minimize that risk? And geopolitically, like, do you think about this? Welcome. And so out of all these dangers outside, we have these guys being, finish it where I started. You've got Anthem, Marriott, OPM, TransUnion now, and TransUnion's breach last week was to sign up for data protections on what's called True Identity, which is a program administrated by TransUnion. Oh, come on. Can't you do better? And so, as an example, also that's kind of old, was the event that occurred in France in 2015. And the APT28s, I listed APT28, not my typical quite hackerish answer of APTN as n+1, and hence the P in persistence. But when Russia infiltrated the television station in France to make up and mock the Islamic State in France to foment an uprising. And so you see the same thing, like, you see it everywhere for what it's worth. And it's a hybrid doctrine of war, which is what it is. Going to your coffee shop should be innocent. Watching your home news should be innocent, but it's just not nowadays. It's murky. And so at RSA, again, a different talk, I heard a Verizon employee talk about identity being treated like pee in the pool. That's cute. Yeah, I get it. There's one version in the pool, just add chlorine. And it's clean, right? But TransUnion can't do that. They don't have that availability to do that. Of all these hacks and breaches and everything, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. On a related note, I flew in yesterday, and the day before I flew in, I attended this talk from this company, DTEX, and this is their title slide, Disarming DPRK Cyber Syndicate. And most people I speak to that have gone into the DPRK networks find them hilarious, lackadaisical, dangerous, or maybe really crafty, like you're actually doing something. And to that end, it was what I would call the analog identity, you or me, with a picture in your identity card to go through the gate, or your credentials on a computer, being infiltrated by North Korea. And this is a real threat. We had people from the Bureau showing up to say, nice panel conversation on what you should and should not do for the DPRK and other, geez, oh Pete, does it end? Can't we all just be friends? It's one world, right? And out of all of this, wow, I was totally at SoftWorks, which is a totally nonprofit office on behalf of USOCOM, Fort McDill Air Force Base, on a small team to not facilitate conversations, but to facilitate a working prototype to deal with, you may have guessed it, the evolution of identity. Because what we see out there are all the kids born in 2000, let's put a mark on it, 2022 when this happened, right after COVID. In 2040, they all turn 18. And in 2022 and 23 and 24, your new parents are happy they have healthy, glamorous, shining, bold kids, right? And they want to broadcast that to the world. But your eyes don't change. Your identity doesn't change. So once it's on the internet, good luck getting rid of it. So do yourself and your family a favor and stop posting to social media. If we had an automatic engine to remove pictures online from Google and Instagram and God knows more, I mean, I think OnlyFans is probably like booming with numbers, but the deletion of that data could not keep up with the addition of that data. If you think about that, this is too much. It's way too much. Like, no, please stop. I was at a invite with the Stripe sessions this year and had the chance to hear Mr. Mark Zuckerberg speak for himself on how he wants to look forward to selling and economically capitalizing on selling you stuff. Selling you stuff. When really, it became what we're living is an economic surveillance society where you spend when you swipe your credit card, that's part of the tracer that the credit unions are doing. Like, I mean, that's to make sure that's you. That's not really okay. If we all get rid of our credit cards and just use a debit card, maybe it's better, but then again, you don't grow your credit. To that end, you can't freeze your credit. I met a gentleman who freezed his credit and turns it on just to buy a car. I'm like, congratulations, it's useless to you. Just get rid of the card. Like, what can you do? Be aware what's on your driver's license. We all have a star on our driver's license now. That's a federal driver's license, right? So that's also a federal driver's license, not a state. I don't work there. But you can scan the barcode on the back of your license and see that it's a PDF version 1.4 of all the data that's on the front of the license and more errata that you probably should ask, why is it on my driver's license? I didn't design it. And out of that, like I've mentioned, I totally now help out NATO countries. I'm helping out defend our civil infrastructure. It's needing protection from your identity on the machine to the person using the machine. It's all vulnerable. We have people who want to get involved to mess up that data, or that really want to cause malicious actions. And so the company is an outlier emerging government contractor working a lot with Uncle Sam and other nation states at the moment. NATO partners, primarily. I'm old enough in the field where I run as a root. It's probably like shame on me, right? I just log in, I sudo-s, and I just go. So, what's wrong? But it's being aware of what the computer's doing. And so, if there's any questions, let me know. I'll be around here now or afterwards. Thank you.